folks. Today we're talking about Unit 1, Lesson 18. Today on your homework we're talking about the volume of cubes and nets. We did a lot of work with surface area of cubes in class today, and we know that a cube is a three-dimensional figure. All of the faces are made up of identical squares, right? So the cool thing about a cube is that every dimension is exactly the same length. Let me grab my cube for an example. So this is an example of a three-dimensional cube, right? All of its faces are squares. And if I measured any of these edges on this shape, on this three-dimensional solid, they would all be exactly the same length. So if I am trying to find the surface area of this, I am taking one square, and then there are 6 of those identical squares. One top, bottom, front, back, left, right, and I can take that area times 6 to get the surface area. Volume, something we've done before, right? We would take our length times our width times our height. All of those numbers would be the same thing. So if I had a 2-inch cube, all of my things are 2 inches. So I would find the volume by doing 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Again, though, I could represent this as 2 to the 3rd power because I am multiplying 3 2s by each other. The cube that you are dealing with in class and your homework has an edge length of 8 inches. Please don't forget that unit, inches cubed, because you'd be building it on cubes, on your homework. The second part is nets. Nets are, again, a 2-dimensional representation of a 3-dimensional shape. So if I was going to draw a net for this cube, right, all of my shapes would be squares. Now this, pardon my not quite squares, would be an example of a net that I could fold for this, right? Because I have 6 squares, and I would fold this edge up, this edge up, this edge up, this edge up, and then that would be my lid that would flip over on the top. I can visualize this. We've looked at some sites in class where you can fold things to see it. That can be a helpful thing for you. The net on your homework they are telling you is wrong. So there's got to be something wrong with it. Either it won't fold together. What do I mean by that? Well, if I drew this, try a little bit harder. If I drew this as a net for my cube, while this has 6 squares, I would not be able to fold it, right? If I fold this here, these two would end up overlapping and I wouldn't have 6 faces on the outside. So it's either like this, like it doesn't fold right, or the shapes don't go together correctly, okay? And what do I mean by that? Well, if I think about a net for a box, right? If I am starting with like this is the top and this is the side, I couldn't put the other side next to it, right? Or I couldn't have a small shape that when I would fold would leave a gap. That would also not work. So your job for that net is to decide what's wrong with it and explain that using some of our vocabulary language, like do the faces not fit together? Are not all of the faces covered? Do some of the faces overlap when you fold? Good luck with your homework.